Well, good morning or good evening, everybody. I'm sorry. This is apparently just waking up. I don't know. Welcome back to another episode of Cruise Compass Live. We are going to be going over our recent trip on the MSC Seashore today. Looking forward to sharing with you everything that we went over. I do want to take a moment though and apologize to everybody for last week. I did missing the live stream. Unfortunately, was not something we were intending on doing. We unfortunately ran into an issue where the Wi-Fi was just not strong enough at the hotel we were staying at. Not a bad thing. The Wi-Fi worked, but it just wasn't strong enough to do a live stream. So I decided, hey, why don't we just wait until we get home and do it there. And when I got home, I realized that my web camera had broken. So in the interim, had to get a new one. By the time I got a new one, we were already almost at Thursday. So just kind of decided, hey, we'll just wait and do the live now. So again, tonight we're reviewing our most recent 5-night excursion on the MSC Seashore. We went to just 2 ports. We went to Ocean Cay, the MSC Marine Preserve, which is honestly an excellent place to go. And then we also stopped at Nassau. What I loved is we stayed overnight in Ocean Cay. So 2 days worth of just wonderful beach experience there. And, we're also going to go over some of the pre-cruise, post-cruise planning stuff that we did, made this vacation even better. Keep in mind, I always throw this out there. This isn't a paid review. I am not paid by MSC Cruises. So this is simply your trusted travel advisor letting you know how we felt about the MSC Seashore and everything, that we got into. So we started our vacation early. We did arrive early, so that we could take our grandson. This was a grandson trip. So keep in mind, your vacation doesn't have to start when you board the ships, So for us, we flew from Charlotte, actually Concord, down to the Sanford Airport, a couple of small airports, which is great to do. We stayed in Titusville, Florida. We rented a vehicle from Budget Rent-A-Car. Why did we do that? Made it very easy. We actually stayed at a brand new hotel, the Comfort Suites near the Kennedy Space Center. So what we did, my grandson absolutely loves rockets. So we ended up spending, a couple of hours, really about 4 hours, exploring the Kennedy Space Center. The Space Coast was a huge bonus before we even stepped onto the ship. Unfortunately, there was supposed to be a rocket launch the morning we were going to board our cruise, but that launch ended up being delayed to the following Monday, or to the Monday we got on a Sunday. It was postponed to that Monday. Wasn't really able to see it, got a little cloudy and everything like that. But I'm going to give credit to that Comfort Suite team. We specifically called ahead, requested a room with a launch view location, and they absolutely delivered for us. Had the launch occurred as scheduled, we would have had a fantastic view directly from our room. Even though we missed launch, we still had an incredible time visiting the Kennedy Space Center and exploring the areas. Post-cruise, I'm going to go over it right now, but post-cruise, we decided to make a visit to the Daytona International Speedway. Now, from Port Canaveral to Daytona International Speedway is about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Again, we had rented a Budget Rent-A-Car, cheaper than doing an Uber to the Sanford area. So we were able to go up, enjoy walking around the Daytona International Speedway. We took a tour. So grandson absolutely loved that, to be able to see it. We're very close to Charlotte Motor Speedway, so he's seen that track before, but being able to see a 2.5-mile track was absolutely incredible. So definitely make sure you give yourself some time to explore the area. Now, arriving at Port Canaveral, the drive from Titusville to Port Canaveral was about 20-30 minutes. Very simple, depending on traffic. One thing I enjoyed was being able to see the ships as we approached the port, see them very, very clearly. You get some fantastic photo opportunities of the ships crossing the bridge into Port Canaveral. We actually had to go past the cruise port to get to the Budget Rental Center, which, when we dropped off the car, Budget offers a free shuttle service to your cruise line. So no matter which one you're going on, in this case, we had 6 in port, so there was a lot. Everything was very, very efficient. that, the shuttle service was quick. We were dropped off right at the escalator to go up and get checked in at the MSC terminal. Once at the MSC terminal, everything moved very, very, efficiently. We actually got there 45 minutes early. We were trying to budget some extra time. And we got right in. They didn't question us at all. Embarkation was quick. It was organized. It was efficient. We are a gold member on MSC. So, and I also do use a prosthetic leg. So MSC made sure we received some extra accommodations that we didn't even ask for. The staff just made sure we got, bumped up to a priority boarding just so that we weren't, I guess, basically run over, and they just really sped us through the process. And from what I was able to observe, most guests were probably only spending about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. I think it's got a little bit busier, but from check-in to boarding, so being on board in about 20 minutes, that's excellent. What I've heard and what I've experienced with other cruise lines, sometimes it can take half an hour to an hour where you're waiting for the ship to be ready. We did have that happen with us on an NCL cruise where the ship arrived in New Orleans late. No fault of the cruise line, it just things that were going on. So we got on the boat later. But even that was still a very quick boarding time. We were all on board and actually, ready to go at 11:30 in the morning. So one thing I do love about MSC that is unique to them is that you go directly to your room. And the reason you do that, you use your boarding pass to get on, and then you go directly to your room where your room key is waiting for you on the stateroom door. What that means is that you can go straight to your cabin, you pick up your key card, you drop off your backpacks or whatever you carried on with. That allows you to, walk around free and unencumbered. While the cabins aren't officially ready yet, MSC asks you to wait until, the crew completes preparation, but it's incredibly convenient not having to drive those bags around with us. We had the option. Our grandson did not want to go swimming at the immediate time, so we did not change into swimsuits or anything like that. We did, for our cabin, we did book a deluxe balcony cabin on deck 15. Now, this is where an experienced travel advisor comes in to help you. And it really matters when selecting this. Many people book based solely on the deck number and don't look at what's above them or what they're going to be looking at. So on the Seashore, much of deck 16, the deck above us, contains the buffet and the pool areas. If you book underneath those sections, you're going to probably hear throughout the evening and nighttime and early morning, chairs moving around, cleaning taking place. All kinds of cleaning crews and activity going on because things on the ship don't stop just because you're going to bed. Instead, I intentionally selected the cabin at the forward part of the ship that was located beneath the yacht club. Now, some people may not like it, but I loved it because we had an overhang, which meant no direct sun. If it did happen to rain, which thankfully it did not, actually the weather report prior to us leaving actually said that we could expect some weather every single solitary day. And I can tell you it was beautiful and sunny the entire time. So being on that forward part of the ship was excellent. Basically what happened, was a very quiet cabin. There was no noises really ever. Excellent sleep, with the exception of the occasional neighbor that the door slammed. The doors are spring loaded and they do close hard if we don't catch them. The cool thing is we're literally only a few rooms from the bridge. So we were actually able to, look in on the bridge straight ahead and look at the bridge operations, as we're docking and things like that. The cabin was extremely comfortable, very well maintained. Large TV, which helped out, when the grandson was getting a little irritable, we could put on the Nick at Sea, program and he could watch it. Plenty of storage space. When I tell you there was more than enough, we had way more than we needed. One of the biggest compliments I get to the MSC Seashore is that it's incredibly easy to navigate. It carries 4,000 passengers, actually a little bit over if they really get everybody in there. And I rarely felt like it was overly crowded. The layout works. The one area that does take some learning with MSC is the elevator system. Okay. Before you get on, you select the floor you're going to. Okay. And that elevator bank will tell you which elevator to go to. Now, a key to that is that you want to select the number of people in your party, which means you push that deck number for the number of people that are getting onto the elevator. It helps prioritize. So you're not stepping into a full elevator because the computer thought you only had one person when you really had three or four. Most guests don't realize that. And, I kind of felt the embassy a little bit on it because they don't explain it particularly well or really at all. Um, it's just one of the things. Once, those were figured out, and I knew it beforehand, but once you figure that out, they go a lot better. As far as cleanliness, I give MSC high marks here. This is a second MSC cruise where, the ship was just impeccable. It was spotless. Public areas were constantly being cleaned. Occasionally there was a little, mess here and there, but they kept on it, pretty well. I do love their Swarovski crystal. Wow, Swarovski crystal staircases, absolutely beautiful staircases. You have to literally experience them to get the full gamut of them. The immaculately throughout the cruise. I honestly don't remember entering a single public restroom that wasn't clean. They take a great deal of pride in maintaining the ship. Crew members were excellent. We only had a couple of issues at bars as it got busier, where we felt slightly ignored, but, again, it was busy. We were in a popular area. Whatever the case may be, we were there to be patient. Everybody was always eager to help, whether it was guest services, the cabin attendants, the dining staff, or crew out throughout the ship. So an example, our cabin attendant, okay, it was literally his first day on the ship. He had boarded just before we did. When he didn't know what exactly we were asking, we got another cabin attendant that was kind of guiding him along to help us out. It was wonderful, never any issue. The dining staff was absolutely amazing. We had, dine at any time, or my time dining, as MSC likes to call it. We still ended up at the same table with the same wait staff, no matter what. Okay, it was excellent because they pretty much, we could come in anytime we wanted to, but we still got the same table, same waiter, same assistant waiter, the same, bartender. Everything was, exactly how you would do it if you were scheduled to arrive at 5 o'clock or 7:30. Those were the two dining times. We were able to go in between those two times, which was just fine. Our favorite dining venue was easily the main dining room. Okay. We didn't choose to purchase any specialty dining for the sailing. We're not big specialty dining people unless we got a special occasion going on. And we're traveling with our grandson, who's a very picky eater. So we never felt like we were missing anything. The quality in the main dining room is extremely good. Honestly, it's better than or equal to what I can make here. The chefs are incredible. The menu variety was very strong. They always had a meat option. They had fish. They had, you name it, seafood. It was all there. And the service was excellent. When I compare MSC to Norwegian Cruise Line, I would put the dining experience on a very similar level. Princess, on the other hand, does hold a slight edge in my personal opinion, but Princess is also a more premium cruise experience with higher pricing. So you just got to remember that. MSC, a big thing I always tell any of my clients, they are a European cruise line first. Some menu items will feel different from what Americans may expect or be used to. And personally, I think that's a positive. You're experiencing a truly international cruise line. Casual dining, Deck 18, now has a chicken venue. Keep in mind, with MSC, there is no Deck 17. So I didn't jump 2 decks, okay? To them, Deck 17 is as unlucky as Deck 13 here is in the States. But they now offer a chicken venue that is open during lunch hours. On Deck 8, it was a barbecue venue that is open for lunch and occasionally had some breakfast with it as well. Now, the buffet, okay? I love the variety on the buffet, first and foremost. But let's be realistic. Ship carrying over 4,000 passengers is going to have crowds during peak meal times. Peak meal times, breakfast, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., lunch from noon to 1 p.m. Those times are going to be very, very busy. This is not only on MSC. It's not an MSC issue. Every cruise line has that. The buffet is the favorite place to go. The only cruise line I'm going to tell you that doesn't have that issue, Virgin Voyages. They don't have a buffet. We'll do that on another issue, though. It's just simply the reality of, cruising during peak family travel, summertime. Okay, you're going to have a lot of families. Outside of those times, we had no problem finding seating. Even during those times, we really did not have a problem finding seating. It was very simple. We really, my recommendation to everybody, go towards the back. Okay. If anything, you can also find outside seating, but the further you went to the back, the easier it was to find a table. Entertainment was outstanding. My grandson absolutely loved going there. He was excited to go there. He was, fully focused for the entire 40 minutes. The first one we attended was the magic show. And then we also attended the final production show. And honestly, after seeing the final production show, I realized we probably missed some excellent performances earlier in the week when we didn't go. The atrium was absolutely incredible as well. Okay, it was one of my favorite areas. Now, it was always lively. There was music, dancing, games, activities. There is a New York themed area around the casino. They have a miniature Statue of Liberty. The key thing with the Seashore is it's a New York themed ship. Okay, so a lot of the areas are going to be themed around it. Tribeca, you name it. It was all around New York. Honestly, if you couldn't find something to do on board, you simply weren't looking very hard. The Kids Club, awesome place. Okay, very simple to get in there. Register as early as you can. In our case, registration opened at noon. We were there 10 minutes early. Registration took 5 minutes. The earlier you complete the registration, the easier the process is. As you go later in the afternoon, it becomes very busy. When we walked by at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the line was out the door. Okay, so the facilities were impressive. My grandson had a fantastic time. They are Lego themed as well. I almost forgot about that. But yeah, he had everything to do, and he couldn't be happy enough even when we picked him up. Now, we didn't spend a lot of time in the main pools or hot tubs. We did spend time at the jungle pool and the kids area. The kids Pirate Cove is what it is. And grandson loved it. Pirates Cove especially. Was it crowded? Absolutely. Okay. We were sailing during summer vacation. So it's completely expected that families were on board, and families were everywhere. And honestly, that was part of the fun of the atmosphere on board. I knew going in that it was going to be busy, So, and there were going to be a lot of families. Okay, if you've been around everything from 3 to 12-year-olds, you got to watch your step because they're not paying attention to where they're going. Okay, so. But it was a lot of fun to see them. Saw a lot of fun seeing the kids interact with one another, and just in general, just loving everything. On to Ocean. Wow, that was the wrong. Sorry, let me fix this. We had a little issue there. There we go. On to Ocean Cay, Ocean Cay, depending on what you want to call it. I always call it Ocean Cay. That's the way the locals kind of do it. It is definitely one of my favorite private islands in cruising. Aside from Harvest Cay, Norwegian's private island in Belize, this island is absolutely beautiful. What makes it unique is that it isn't focused on water parks, amusement attractions. Instead, it's focused on the natural beauty of the island. MSC has invested heavily in restoring the marine habitats, the coral reef, all of that. It is a true maritime marine preserve. The beaches are beautifully kept. The water's crystal clear. Snorkeling. It's hard to see in this picture, but they have people who live on the island. Okay, so they're always there. There is mature vegetation, but it's limited. Okay. So don't expect a lot of shade. I do highly recommend purchasing one of the available shade options. For us, We did the umbrella with the 2 chair package or 2 lounge chair package on South Beach, and it was absolutely worth the $37 that we spent. We enjoyed looking across the lagoon. This is a picture of my grandson swimming in the lagoon, which appeared to be less crowded, and would be a great option for guests seeking a quieter experience. Again, the overnight stay was a major highlight because it allowed all of us to enjoy the island on 2 separate days instead of feeling rushed. There are multiple things to do. This is a picture of South Beach, and on the other side over there is North Beach. So this gives you an idea of what the lagoon looks like. There are multiple beaches on Ocean Cay. South Beach and North Beach are just 2 of them. There is another beach on the other side of North Beach, which I do apologize, I forget the name of it, but that is on the Atlantic. There's also Lighthouse Beach, which is, you're going to see a video here in just a little bit, that is of the, evening lighthouse show. It is absolutely wonderful. So while this show was going on, I encourage everybody to kind of enjoy it. I'm not going to play the whole video, so don't worry about that. It just gives you an idea of what they do. So this is taken, if you put yourself on the port side of the ship, you are percentage-wise more likely to be able to view the lighthouse show from your stateroom. We were on the port side. We unfortunately came in and they parked head on. So basically forward, which meant port side was looking at Little Cay, which is still under construction right now. Looking beautiful, by the way. So this video was actually taken from deck 16 in the aft, near the bridge of sides. Okay, so we still had an excellent view. You can also go down onto the beach where they've got a beach party going on. So absolutely wonderful thing to be able to see. Again, I'm not going to play this entire video. That'll take up way too much time. It was excellent. I loved it. My grandson loved it, especially right now, this part with the sea turtles. He has a fascination with sea turtles. Now we, left Ocean Cay, which was kind of disappointing. I loved it. We could have stayed even a whole another day there. And we moved on to Nassau. Another beautiful island. This wasn't our first visit to Nassau. We've been there multiple times. If you've been on the cruise to the Caribbean, you likely have been to Nassau. It is one of the most popular cruise ports to visit. We opted to do just a little bit more relaxing excursion versus walking around the port. Again, my grandson would have gotten totally bored with all the shops and everything like that, except for spending Pop-Up's money on, little trinkets here and there. So we booked a glass bottom boat tour, which took us, we did that through an big company with Shore Excursions Group, which rather than through the cruise line. I love working with a couple of companies, and I personally have booked with them. One is Shore Excursions Group, the other is Project Expedition. Excellent ways to save some money rather than booking through the cruise line. Now, the boat itself did show its age, but the crew was incredibly fantastic and made up for that. There were only about 10 of us on board, which made the experience be much more personal than, a larger excursion booked with the cruise line, who offered a very similar experience. We went, up and down Paradise Island. We learned a lot about many of the celebrity homes in the area. Scottie Pippen has one, Michael Jordan, Bill Gates. So, you name it, they're there. They're very, very extensive in the billionaires, not even millionaires, billionaires. This is a photo of us on the back of that boat as we're doing the excursion. If you've already visited Nassau multiple times and are looking for something I can do, this was great. We did previously in Nassau have a great experience with Miliano Jewelers. This is when me and my wife went on our 25th anniversary. We were lucky to be sailing with the vice president of Miliano on our MSC cruise previously. And thanks to him, we got some incredible deals on some incredible jewelry. I like them better than Diamonds International, who is the most popular. They are more personalized. They are more willing to talk with you. Um, just in general, it was an incredible experience working with them. So that was just a quick note for everybody on that one. While we were in Nassau, had the opportunity. This is, Royal Caribbean's private destination there. So if you're on a Royal Caribbean cruise, you're able to go there. But keep an eye on the time. Okay. I was talking with one of my friends who does love to sail Royal Caribbean. I do too, but I go around to all sorts of cruise lines. He's more Royal Caribbean only. But he said he was a deck runner because he spent so much time and lost track of what time it was. And there aren't very many clocks available to see. So he became a deck runner. So definitely keep an eye on everything. Watch out for everything on that one. Now, just going to go over a couple quick more notes on the cruise as we're finishing up here. Cruise ducks. I love cruise ducks. My grandson found 6 of them on this cruise. So on a 4-night cruise, finding 6 is pretty good. One disappointing moment was our neighbor had a very cool little thing where she had a duck exchange mailbox outside of the cabin. Essentially tells people, exchange a duck. They'll put a duck in there. They would like it for you to just put in, a new duck for it. Unfortunately, they did several times have people just take the duck and leave. But in one instance, someone took the entire mailbox. Instead of participating in it, that was kind of a downside to us. I felt really bad for them. It's just a reminder that cruising is at its best when everyone participates in the fun and respects the efforts of others to make and create memories. Okay. Stealing things off of people's doors is just, that's wrong. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. It's wrong. As far as value for the money, this may be the category where MSC is its strongest. Okay. Our cruise, including 3 people, including drink and Wi-Fi, came out to about $2,000. Excellent time with an incredible balcony. The value was exceptional. MSC consistently offers all that value. We have no problem booking another MSC cruise. It is, one of our favorite lines. What I love to tell people about MSC is simply that, people sail Carnival because of the price. MSC offers you a lot more than Carnival would. Not that Carnival's a bad cruise line. I do love Carnival. They've unfortunately had some bad headlines lately. They seem to be stuck in that. But I do absolutely love MSC. The value is incredible. But I'm not going to take away from my next favorite cruise line, which is Norwegian. And Princess, like I said, an elevated experience. If you have not experienced them, definitely sail Princess. It is, a cruise company that does not have any water slides on their ships. Definitely a more relaxing, more upscale feel to it without getting into ultra luxury. Now, we're going to wrap up this episode of Cruise Compass Live. I'm going to let you guys know we're going to start doing some previews now in the coming weeks of individual cruise lines. We're going to start doing destinations as well, going over islands that we've been to, just doing things that will allow us to give you the better personalized insight into everything. Now, if you guys didn't realize, our phone number and our website are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. They've been doing it consistently. I do hope that you guys, absolutely give us a call. Let us know how we can help you. Keep in mind, travel advisors are here just for that reason. We're here to advise you. We've had the experience. We've had the training. And more importantly, I'm one of the many out there, travel advisors and travel companies that do not charge any agency fees. What does that mean? It means you pay me nothing for my services. I get money from the cruise lines in a commission that you're paying anyway, whether you book with the cruise line or not, you're paying that commission no matter what. Okay, that's where I get my money from. That's why I offer my services to everybody. And we offer everything. We can help you with airfare, hotels, you name it, we can help you with it. Um, just know that, we are there for you. So again, tune in next week for another Cruise Compass Live. We will be here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You will see us streaming on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram. Okay, so please just make sure you check us out. Follow us, give us a like, and more importantly, when you're ready to book your next cruise, reach out to us. More than happy to help you. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed evening, and we'll see you all on your next cruise.